Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Electoral College, the history of it, how it works, and also going through some examples of modern elections to show you its strengths and also its problems. So, the Electoral College is made up of 538 voters. You've probably seen a map like this on election night where each state has a number next to it, and so this number is calculated by the number of senators plus the number of congresspeople from that state. And so like New York, for example, has 28 electoral votes, so it'd have 26 congresspeople and 2 senators. And together, all these numbers add up to 535, which is still 3 less than 538. So where does that other 3 come from? Well, DC was given electoral votes to make up for the fact that it's not a state, so you just go ahead and add these 3 electoral votes to get the total of 538. The Electoral College has been a part of the United States since the adoption of the Constitution, and it was one of the compromises made between big and small states to convince all of the states to join the Union. So small states were afraid that if only the popular vote was used to calculate who won the presidency, then the big states would just dominate. The small states would not be protected and would kind of be at the mercy of the majority. And so this was one of the protections made to help protect them. And so it was also created because the founding fathers did not trust the uneducated people of the United States to decide the president. They wanted a group of educated electors who would actually make the best decision. And so this is another important thing that many people don't know, is that when you're voting for the president, you're not actually voting for him or her. You are voting for your state. Your state, whoever wins it, will give the electors from it to that president. So, if whoever wins Georgia, they will appoint 16 electors who will then go on and vote for the president. So this is just a step that not many people really know exists. And it's also potentially complicating elections. So in some elections, we have what are called faithless electors who basically go out and they don't vote how their party voted. So in 2016, there were quite a few of them. I think all of them were from the Democratic Party. Now there were 2 Republicans in Texas that were faithless electors, and then there were 4 in Washington state that were faithless electors. And so this forced the government to pass some legislation, so now it's not really possible for there to be faithless electors, so we don't have to worry about one dude just changing their vote and deciding the election, which was possible before, which is kind of a scary thought. And so the Electoral College is also a very controversial part of the American government. And I'm going to show you guys a few different elections to show you why it's controversial. So the first one that many older people know about is the 2000 election. So this was an election between George Bush and the Vice President Al Gore. And as you'll see, it is one of the closest elections in our history. 271 electoral votes to 266, so 5 electoral votes. That is that is the opposite of a massive victory. It is very close. And it's even closer if you know about Florida in this election. George Bush won Florida by only 500 something votes. And so you see that even though Bush won the electoral vote, he lost the popular vote by about 500,000. So this really made people mad. They thought the election was stolen by Bush. They thought that the country wanted Gore and that he should have won. A lot of people also hate Ralph Nader because he took potentially some votes from Al Gore. And so the next election where this happened was in 2016. And so this is important to know because it's happened 2 times in the 21st century and only 3 times in the 200 years before that. Since our election has been founded, it's only happened 5 times total. And so many people think that it is a bigger problem now and that it wasn't before, and that so we need to change it now. So see, in 2016, the election was even more lopsided. So Trump won by 304 electoral votes to 227, even though he lost the popular vote by about 3 million, which is a pretty big loss. And it was because he won slightly more than half of the votes in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So he won each of these states by less than like 0.5%, while losing big in most of the blue states. And so this election also really made people mad, and is what has caused a lot of people to start saying that we need to get rid of the Electoral College, because it is, making sure that the popular vote does not win. And so this is one way to look at it. Supporters of the Electoral College also argue that it forces candidates to campaign in all parts of the United States, not just in the big cities, because we are a very urbanized country. And so a candidate could potentially just go and campaign in Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, and all the big cities, and win the presidency. And so they claim that it forces candidates to go out into different states. But critics say that it actually doesn't do this. They say that it just makes candidates visit only a small number of states, the swing states. And I personally believe that that is more true, because a lot of states will never be visited by a presidential candidate because there's no reason to go there. Like Democratic presidents will not really campaign in states like California because they're going to win it. They know that, and it would just be a waste of resources. And Republicans will not really campaign in a lot of these rural states like Wyoming and the Dakotas because they're going to win them by very large margins. And so personally, I think that it is a system that should be improved. I don't know if we should go do away with it, but I think we should adopt a system more similar to Maine and Nebraska. So if you haven't seen these, Maine and Nebraska are the only states that split their electoral votes. The rest are winner takes all. So if you win 50% plus one vote, you win every vote from the state. So if you win 50% plus one in Texas, you get all 40 votes. But in Nebraska and Maine, they each have districts that can, vote separately. So for instance, if we look at this election, you'll see that Nebraska has one Democratic vote representing this district. Where'd it go? This district right here. Nebraska's second, and then Maine has one Republican vote representing Maine's second district, this one right here. And so this is potentially a way we can improve the system, because it can make sure that people think their vote actually matters. Because right now, a lot of people's votes do not matter. If you were a Democrat in Wyoming or South Dakota or North Dakota, your vote doesn't matter. If you were a Republican in California or Maryland or Massachusetts, your vote really doesn't matter in the presidential election. And if we adopted a system like this, where it was either by district or it was just by percentage, like if you got 50% of the vote in Texas, you got 20 electoral votes, it would be much, much better, and make sure that more people are happy with the results of the election. And so that's all I have to talk about today. I encourage you guys to write in the comment section what you think about the Electoral College, whether we should keep it or not. But I will see you soon. I'm going to make a lot more videos this summer, and I hope you guys enjoy them.